So tonight for my Japanese film, instead of watching sort of off the beaten path films, which I have found so much joy in, I watched a canonical black hole in my watching. I actually had heard about this film many years ago from a high school teacher um, who recommended it, and we didn't have it in my hometown, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I kept pushing it off, and it's 2.5 hours. It's much like the one I watched this morning. And then I didn't like it for many reasons. One is a reason that I will admit I generally don't like when people use this as an excuse for not liking a movie, but I'm not perfect. Um, so in this case, the main image that is used to um, advertise this film is basically the titular woman um, in the midst in the throes of ecstasy, and it's very hypersexualized. And honestly, so I was expecting, based on that image, a movie about like a love goddess or something via um, La La Land type, right? No. First and foremost, no. Second of all, for a film called Woman of the Dunes or Woman in the Dunes, depending on what translation you're looking at, the film's not about the woman at all. There just happens to be a woman in a sand dune. The movie's about a dude. So I'm going in thinking so much of not what it's gonna be, and then I'm just nothing that I thought I was gonna get. I got out of this movie. But sometimes, that's okay, and you can go forward and you'll enjoy the film. That didn't happen. It's really well shot. I will give it that. Beautiful cinematography, beautiful shots of people's skin, beautiful shots of sand, really interesting cutting, gorgeous, gorgeous black and white. The director, Hiroshi Teshigahara, was nominated for Best Director, probably because this movie goes all over the place and in unexpected places, especially for the early 60s, unless you've read any existential playwrights. In which case, it doesn't go anywhere unexpected because it's an existential drama, which was very popular already in the 50s in France and other places. From a screenplay by Kobayashi, who was basically a surrealist playwright in Japan. He read all of the same stuff that everyone else read who was making these existential philosophical stories. So it really isn't anything all that um, different. It's just different for cinema. But that's neither here nor there. It's basically the myth of Sisyphus wrought large and literally in a Japanese sand dune. This teacher who moonlights as a bug collector has come to the dunes. Apparently, told no one where he was going. Came to the dunes to find a rare bug so that he can get his name in a field guide. He falls asleep, misses the bus, and the local villagers offer to put him up for the night. Unbeknownst to him, and spoilers, they're actually trapping him in a sand dune pit with a woman whose husband recently died because it's her job to dig the sand to A, make sure that her house isn't covered in sand, and B, so they can sell it to make cement so that the town has money. She's basically in servitude to the town. That's the plot. And then they have a lot of. They don't even have a lot of sex, to be honest. You'd think with the image being 90% of the poster, there'd be a lot more sex in this movie. There isn't, but there is a lot of super super objectification of the woman's body with like a handful of like pans on the man. And I think, maybe you can claim the scene where she's like soaping him up is a little erotic, but like you barely get like a bit of a pan to his butt. You get nothing of his body. The only eroticism from his body is the sound of the soap suds, but you get a full on complete objectifying shot of her entire silhouetted naked body at one point. Um, so like if you're gonna do that, I want full equality objectifications of bodies. I feel very strongly about that. this was a perfect movie to have butt and dick shots in it, and it had neither, but it had plenty of boobs and lady ass shots. So, like, make it equal. B, I've read so many reviews that were calling it like um a metaphor for humanity, or et cetera, et cetera, but only if your entire understanding of humanity is based on the male perspective of the world. You have this female character, and she's barely developed beyond she's lonely and can carry a child. That's about it. That's all you really know about her. That's all she's allowed to be. Oh, and she can have sex. That's it. That's it. And that she, digs the sand because she's got to do something. And I'm like, this woman has been stuck in a sand pit for God knows how long. She's gonna have some interesting things to say about life, and she gets to do nothing but, like, you know, react to the male's situation. And I found that very frustrating, because for a movie called Sandwoman in the actual Japanese, I wanted to hear what the Sandwoman had to say on all of this, and I did not get any of that, and that was just majorly frustrating. I really am. I just don't like films that are about the distillation of the human experience, but from the point of view of the human experience being the male human experience, as if that's the default. It's not. It never has been. It never will be. And I hate it. And all these, not all, but quite a few canonical classics, that's what they are. They're like, here's the human experience as experienced by men. Not the same thing as the human experience. Now, if it was an equal 50-50 of his experience and her experience, then maybe you'd have a distillation of the human experience. But that's not the case here. And it was just very frustrating. So that's my thoughts on this film. They're strong, and it was very long, and I'm tired, and I'm going to go to bed now. And I'm just mostly kept thinking that I could have watched probably two more interesting, like, random 30s Japanese films with a cast full of women in the amount of time I spent watching this one. And that's a waste of my time. It's a waste of everyone's time. And that's how I feel. So this is The Woman in the Dunes. You can watch it on Criterion Channel. You can get it from Criterion. You can rent it on Amazon. It's widely available. Canonical classic that I did not particularly care for. Oh my god, it won't turn off.